I'm not
Not
100%
convinced
sure
of
that
it.
they're ready to go live.
Hey, we're
Hello,
live.
Michael Knight.
Hello, New York, Vinnie. How's life?
Life is okay this morning so far, but it's early. I'm sure somebody will come along and screw it up. And a very good morning to everybody that's listening too. We're Michael Knight in New York, Vinnie, and where are we, Michael?
We're in the secret chamber behind Pete Hegseth's house. We're waiting for him to leave for work so we can go in and steal his mail.
What do you think would be in his mail?
Pictures of the guys they killed in the Caribbean.
Pictures of Lily.
And Lily, too. Lily will be there.
Yes, it just came to mind as I was, as you said that. Does that happen to you a lot? Like you're reading something or you're looking at something, and all of a sudden a song title pops into your noggin
It won't go away.
and won't go away, and all of a sudden what are you doing? You're on YouTube and you're looking it up, right?
The live
Because
version.
yeah, you want to know, you want to hear, you want to say, oh, all right, I want to. Which always leads me to Del Shannon because he seemed to have a song for everything, right? Hats off to Larry, Runaway, and
Don't forget Hats On to Larry. That was the B side.
right, and Little Town Flirt, and then the Little Town Good Girl.
And
You know, there seemed to be a related B side with Del.
The 2 or 3 albums that he made with Tom Petty at the end of his career, just before he died, were some of the best work he's ever done. Wonderful albums.
I'll have to go back and listen to those. I saw him. As a matter of fact, just the other day, there's a special that's on YouTube about him. It was just posted to YouTube. So I'll have to send you. Have you seen that or
No, I'll go take a look. I love Del Shannon.
I'll send you a link to him, and was always one of my favorite voices. He just had that
something.
Yeah, and whatever he did from Runaway, through a Little Town Flirt, all the stuff that he did. Hats off to Larry is one of the great, revenge songs of all time.
And who's this guy, Larry? He's not in a lot of songs. He's in a few, but not a lot.
Well, I'll tell you what. For Larry became at one point in my life, many years ago, Harry. For me, I was when I was, I don't know, maybe it was my hanging out like 13, 14-year-old days, and I was
nothing but trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And there was this girl I liked. Donna was her name. And it was a summer thing. We were out from school and we all were hanging out on the corner, and her and I got along, and walked her home a few times, and because that's what a gentleman did in the days before cars, is you walked the girls home
to the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood, could have been nothing wrong, but the outside shot, you might get a little, at the front door or something like that. You walked them home, and also to make sure they were safe,
sure.
Which was, of course, the primary reason.
Because we're dealing with New York here.
Yeah, we were. Because it was, there was an element of danger because there were girls that were attacked or
somehow threatened.
Yeah, there was an outside threat that there could be something. So you walked them home to make sure that everything was okay. Anyway, so I walked this girl home a few times. She didn't live far, and and I think we had maybe a couple of makeout sessions we hung out in this apartment complex called Spanish Gardens, and this complex, like many complexes that were built in Jackson Heights in the day, had apartment buildings around, on one street here and one street here, and in the middle there was a courtyard with these ornate, beautiful gardens. Well maintained, well kept. There was benches in the gardens, but not a lot of light.
So there was actually a garden for Spanish Gardens.
Yeah. And so she lived in one of the apartments in Spanish Gardens. So I walked her home. We sat in the garden for a while, and so I thought that things were going pretty hot and heavy between her and I. And one day, I see her coming down the corner, and she's with this guy named Harry.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, what what the hell's going on here? And in
As if you didn't know.
yeah, and in those were my, shit kicking days. I see Harry and her walking down the street, and I'm like, what well, screw you,
Hats off to Harry.
Hat. And so I just started singing hats off to Harry. And I used to sing it like every time I would see her. And in those days, people knew, my friends all knew that I would sing a lot. That was one of the things that people knew about me, that I was always singing. Matter of fact, we had this kind of funny thing that we would do. Sometimes when the cops would come by, is we'd assume the position, we'd holler "Sha-na-na," and we'd all jump on at the front of a car and just look like that pose on Sha-na-na's first album where they're all hanging out.
You freeze.
Yeah, you freeze, and the cops go by, and they're just looking and going, what in the world is going on with them? So, hats off to Larry, a.k.a. hats off to Harry, has always had like a special. It always reminds me of that little period in my life, that summer. I think that was summer in 1969, as a matter of fact. If I
Summer Love.
Yeah, if I remember right, that it was. I got my. You didn't show it in those days, but when that happened to you, and it happened often. I mean, let's face it. It's
can't help it happen.
1969. Stuff is like that. What 13-year-old girl wants to make plans of getting married? I mean, and there was always like one couple or two couples in the neighborhood that were, Joey and Johnny. Joey, well, it would be Joey and Johnny then. Joey and Joni, and they would write the date that they started going out under their name, and go all over the neighborhood, and there'd be graffiti in every bathroom and spray painted on walls and stuff. Joey.
They were an item.
Yeah, that's how you advertised your love. That was
put it on the wall.
Put it on the wall, or
like the song "Walk Away, Renee."
Wherever you could put it, that was how you marked your turf.
Right.
And so you knew not to mess with Joni because she belonged to Johnny.
It is written, so it is written. Let it be written. Let it be done.
It's there. You can't run away from it. It's every time you walk down 83rd Street. It's on the side of Disco Drugs Wall. Yes, we had a department store. We had a drugstore named Disco Drugs.
It was going to have to happen sooner or later.
And this was before disco.
And it was neither a disco place or a drugstore.
It was a drugstore.
No, that's something then.
Yeah, it was a drugstore, and I guess they were going for discount drugs, but for whatever reason, maybe somebody had the name already or something. So they were just Disco Drugs.
Discount was too long. They just had to shorten it to disco.
Yeah, and it's truly one of the great drugstore names ever. Disco Drugs. A couple of years when disco actually hit, people would stop and take their picture under the sign.
Sha-na-na.
No, Disco Drugs.
that would be your pose.
That would, yeah. Well, yeah. I'll have to find. I think I have one picture from that era. I don't know if we're on it in front of the. I think we're actually doing it in front of the phone booths.
Well, for the disco pose, you had to have one hand in the air, one hand on your hip.
Yeah, exactly. You had to imitate the pose of Sha-na-na in that 1969 album on Kama Sutra. their debut album, which had the incredibly great fold out with the 1969. No, they were posing in front of a 1957, I think, or 58 maybe. I think it was a 58 Cadillac sitting on the hood, and and they're just looking like a tough bunch of street hoods, which we, the wino lords, envisioned ourselves
wasn't
as a
gonna
tough bunch of street hoods.
no one was gonna tell them to get off that Cadillac.
Not if they didn't want to.
Who wants to take on 15 guys wearing gold lame? Nobody.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't think we ever wore gold lame, but I mean, we had denim jackets with cut off sleeves.
Well, it was easier to look like Bowser than it was to look like the dance crew.
Yeah. No, engineer boots, black jeans, and a black T-shirt or a white T-shirt was definitely, attainable.
And roll those sleeves.
There were some that still wore Beetle boots.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Even in 1960, I mean, if you paid $9.99 for your Beetle boots and Flag Brothers,
with the stripe down the middle,
you were getting as much wear out of those Beetle boots as you could.
The law allows.
Yeah, well, they weren't they were never your primary pair of shoes. You couldn't wear them to school. They'd been outlawed in school.
Had they?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that? Why couldn't you wear boots?
Beetle boots, couldn't wear them. I don't even. Catholic school, they didn't have to give you a reason.
Because the Saints don't wear no boots.
The Saints don't wear Cuban heels. Now, that is a song title or an album title.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, the Saints don't wear Cuban heels.
Now, do the Saints don't wear no Cuban heels, or do the Saints don't wear Cuban heels?
I think we'd want to go with the Saints don't wear Cuban heels.
Okay. I like it.
And we could put a song in there called "The Saints Don't Wear No Cuban Heels."
Oh, there's gonna be.
And that would even be
the B-side for "The Saints Don't Wear Cuban Heels" is "The Saints Don't Wear No Cuban Heels."
Yeah, right. The Saints don't wear no Cuban heels. Yeah, we got to work on that. That's a great album title. The Saints don't wear Cuban heels. It sounds like almost like Willie DeVille should have put that out. Willie DeVille, or who else would have been a fit for that? Lou Reed.
Yeah,
Lou Reed would have been a fit for that. See, that's
Dion could do it, but Dion's kind of clean cut for that.
Yeah. I think that's more of that Lower East Side.
We're not talking about Bronx, Lower East Side instead.
Right. East Village before it was Alphabet City. I
always wondered how that got converted into valuable real estate. It was a period of time when I was living in New York in the late 60s, early 70s, where you stayed away from the Lower East Side because Alphabet City was nothing but bread knives and trouble. Right. Squats, whole apartment buildings that were not being used officially as a place to live.
And the Hells Angels. Don't forget the Hells Angels had their New York headquarters on East 3rd.
And you'd think that would be something that would be impossible to recover from, but they just turned that into valuable real estate. One block at a time, they ate it back up and said, no, it's not the Lower East Side. This is New York.
Yeah,
New York City.
It's kind of the same story, I guess, as the Haight in San Francisco.
Yeah, but the Haight had reasonable architecture.
No, you know what? Not the Haight, the Lower Haight. Like from Fillmore up to Divisadero along Haight Street, which was kind of really a piece of the Western Addition for a long time.
And they never did finish adding that. They added it, and then they just left it, and they got added every year.
Well, they added it, and then they started subtracting,
like you do
in those kinds of cases. But
like if you have Cuban heels, you wear them. If you don't have Cuban heels, you subtract and don't wear them.
You can't wear what you ain't got.
Now, on the other end of the shoe, you have the Cuban heels on the back, but up front, you got the the Pointy Inn, which
Yes.
had a nickname I can't think of right now, the Periwinkles or
Roach killers.
Roach Killers. Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
because they
another
got
name
in the
too.
corners.
They couldn't get away from those boots.
Except if
And
you fell on the Cuban heels when you were getting up.
as fast as the roach is, yeah, you're not going to be that fast in your Cuban heels. But if you catch them in the corner, you got them.
The roaches have speed and maneuverability on their side.
Plus, when they get to the corner, they just disappear into the wall. Don't ask me how.
Yeah, I never got that. Well, they squeeze in them like small little cracks. You know, if you had like what do you call it? Hardwood floors.
They're under there.
They could squeeze like they have a little they find a little hole in the hardwood floor and just
make it their own.
Right through.
Yep.
Or scamper up into a cabinet or something like that. And then you go to get a piece of bread and there'd be the roach, you know,
Remember,
sitting on top of your loaf of bread.
Lived on West End and 105th between Broadway and Upper West Side. And if I used a boiler in my apartment on the third floor, it would activate the roaches, and it was too hot for them to hang there underneath the stove. They were going to happily wait under the stove all day long. But if I turned the boiler on to make toast or something, that was too much for them. They had to vacate and make a beeline for new digs.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, you know, broiler will, you know, drops fat and breadcrumbs and stuff like that, and that's like, you know, that's like the buffet at the casino for the cockroaches.
It's beautiful.
They're like, well, this is heaven. They're calling their friends over. You know, the cockroaches are having sex in the back and having little cockroachettes.
You can hear the dance music. You can hear it.
Oh yeah, they're big. They were big into dance music. The cockroaches.
Remember once at the Rocker, we had a guy who brought in hissing cockroaches from
Mexico.
No, from I want to say Macedonia, but that's wrong. Somewhere in the southern hemisphere. Anyway, just our luck, one got away. And he hissed as he left and laughed and said, "I'm going to live underneath this board. I'll be eating just jockey fare for the rest of my life." I don't think we ever got him.
Well, yeah, one you're not, you know, one is okay. If two of them would have got away, and one male and one female, I think that's how it would work.
That wasn't the only thing that got out of we had a guy brought
ferrets,
not squirrels, but
ferrets.
He brought ferrets, and they got out and got underneath the board and sat in there for quite a while before they finally said it was fun at first, but it's not fun anymore. We're coming out.
Yeah, especially if they start chewing up the wires. That would have had
we never actually told anyone that there was a problem with the ferrets and the cockroaches. It was broadcast, but you know how it is that no one in your radio station listens to the morning show. They have an assignment to listen to some other station to find out what spots they're playing.
Yeah, 2 weeks later, some sales guy will come in and say, "Hey, that was a funny bit with the cockroaches, man." Wasn't a bit. No, that's well, you know, you'd think if a cockroach got into that board, and most of the radio stations, I think both you and I have worked at, they could subsist off not only the food that was dropped through the board, but also the drugs that were dropped through the board.
That's not the only thing that gets into a board. The board of KTIM came from KMPX, which is the board that the staff pissed in as they went on strike. And we got it. They cleaned it out, rewired it, put the whole thing together. And we had the piss board from KMPX in the KTIM control room. Then, when I worked at KSAN, when it was a country station, it was the board that they pissed in when KSAN shut off as a rock station and went country. So I worked on 2 piss boards, all of them connected to KSAN. Famous urine was in those boards at one time.
I would say a urine you could probably get high off of.
You could sell it by the cord.
Yeah. You could sell that urine to somebody, and it was a high octane urine.
So your guest comes in to do the show, and you just say, "KSAN urine, anyone?"
Exactly. We have it little vials.
I thought, what were the chances that in one market I would work in 2 piss boards? But
It depends on the market. Certain if certain companies owned a station in that market, your chances are likely um, you'd have a good chance of working at a piss board.
I don't know who's the guy who had to clean those boards out and refurbish them and sell them on the black market, but somebody had to fix that. The new engineer they brought in from Cleveland.
Well, yeah.
Welcome to San Francisco, buddy.
And you know as well as I know that some intern got the job of cleaning the board out. Hey, it's time for our annual board cleaning. And you want to learn about electronics? You open it up like this, and you start. It's kind of sticky in here.
What's that? Nah, it can't be.
No, it's a McMartin control board. How could it be sticky? Well, kid, one of these days when you get a morning show, we'll tell you about it.
But first, we got to piss in the old board.
But first we have to leave J-Core a going away present.
Something that it's the highest esteem. With the highest esteem, I pee in this board.
Yeah, it was a sport. I mean, it was, I personally never peed the board. Although I will admit that there were a couple of job endings that I would have loved to.
Usually I'm more concerned about where the door is.
Yeah. I was much more about, but I was amazed at the boards at 642 Harrison hadn't got pissed in a number of times.
They asked for it, that's for sure.
But
over and over again.
But I'm sure that the board that they brought over, which I think wound up in the production room, the main board at the Quake, which turned into the main board at the City.
Yeah, that was the same board.
Yeah, was probably had quite a bit of chemicals in it, of many kinds, topped off with a high dose of piss. I'm sure that
I don't remember how the Quake ended, but I guess it wasn't pretty.
Well, from what I remember, and I don't, the Quake, for those who may not know, the Quake was an alternative radio station, alternative music station, commercial station in San Francisco that pretty much took the city by storm. It hit at a perfect time when alternative was becoming much more popular. When did it hit? About 78, 79, something like that. They hit the air. Actually, they went on the air pretty much when New Wave kind of hit.
Skinny time music.
Yeah, that first wave of New Wave, which was Rock Pile and Nick Lowe and Dave Edmonds and all
Tom
of that.
Petty.
With who else?
Tom Petty's first album.
Yeah, just all of that stuff. And so the Quake went on the air. They took it over from. It was an adult station. Who was the guy that was their DJ? There was a guy that was a voice on a million commercials.
Not Bill
Scott
Mullen?
Beach.
Oh yeah,
Scott Beach. Remember Scott Beach?
He was in the committee.
Yeah, along with Terry McGovern, I believe.
No, Terry was in the committee.
Terry was in the committee. I thought he was. For some reason, I thought he was. Who else was in the committee?
Howard Hessman.
Thank you. Howard Hessman was in the committee. Yeah, I knew that anyway, and you know much more about this stuff than I do. But anyway, the Quake became quite a radio station.
KQAK.
Yeah, 5 years that it existed. And then
was it that long?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was like from 79, was it, to 85. So or maybe it was 80 to 85. I don't remember the sign-on date. But by the time it had signed off, and
Live 105 had taken the.
well, I don't think Live 105 had hit yet. Live 105 was was kind of a pop station, kind of that year literally version of a top 40. And then when the Quake went under in 85, they grabbed the format. You know, they waited a month or two, I think, and they saw that the uproar about the Quake. And the thing about the Quake is they had a morning guy named Alex Bennett.
Who didn't play music. Well, he played some, but not much.
Right. He played a little bit of music, and Alex, made his living off of the comics.
Well, the comics were big in those days. Stand-up was huge.
Right. Stand-up was, I mean, it was, what 10 comedy clubs.
Yeah.
In San Francisco and its, surroundings. And Alex, who was a great jock, great talk show host. I mean, he used to be on WPLJ in New York. It was my formative years. He had a Saturday night show that went from, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night or so until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And he just did talk. He really didn't play much music at all. And I remember when I met him for the first time, I remember saying to him, you wouldn't believe how many times I got laid to your voice. Because, you used to listen to it in the car. And
you'll be billed later. Anyway.
So the Quake was a big deal. I mean, it had kind of, in a lot of ways, taken the place of KSAN is like the community radio station type deal. And the thing about the Quake is you could go up there. Alex used to do a live studio audience.
That's right.
And you could go up, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. You could go up and hang out and watch them do the show. They had, 10 seats or so set up in the thing, and a regular group of people that used to come up and hang out, and then audience people. I remember going up there more than a few times.
And that was the place on Sutter Street where...
Yeah, 1366 Sutter. And it was an old place. You couldn't damage it anymore. It was damaged.
I like that building.
And it was quite an experience. And when the city took over,
It's a haunted spot on the dial, 98.9, right?
Right, 98.9.
Haunted.
And I guess
do not do anything at 98.9 in San Francisco. You'll regret it.
And they've tried it. They've even tried it where they took 98.9 and got the adjacent frequency at 99.1 down in the South Bay and simulcast it, and even that didn't work. Because remember Double 99?
It was haunted.
Yeah, I think it still is actually. I think it's Spanish now. But anyway, I guess the story goes that Ivan and Jamie, who owned Olympic Broadcasting, a Seattle group, was going to continue with the Quake. Was going to, and who knows? They probably said it so that people wouldn't piss on the board or in the board. And I guess their plan was to keep Alex Bennett and, do the city the rest of the day.
I hadn't heard that story.
Yeah, and
I know that as soon as they bought their radio stations that they owned, they had to start selling them to finance the note that they paid. And so they ended up with the stations that weren't worth anything.
I don't know about that part of the story, but I just know this chronology of what I've been told from many people what happened, and they didn't. So anyway, for whatever reason, they didn't follow through on. They had somebody that had gone to them, I guess, Kate and Tom had contacted them and says, no, we have a format that'll kill in this city. And they bought it. And Alex, I guess, wouldn't come over, but he wouldn't work for the new format. So it was, I don't know, the first 6 or 8 months
Billy
of the
Jugs.
city was pandemonium because they had the midday guy that they had brought in. He was now doing mornings. Damien.
What about Billy Jugs?
I don't remember. Billy Jugs. Was he doing mornings?
Juggs. Jugs.
Yeah, I know the name, but I don't remember him on the station. Not to say he wasn't there. I just don't remember. I wasn't there from the beginning. I'm just kind of going by what I've reconstructed or thought to be the history. And then Damien was the morning guy until you came along, till they pried you away from
the Rocker.
And so it goes. So the rest is history. And what was that? 1986 that they brought you in, right?
Trying to remember the year, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it was 86.
Maybe 85.
Yeah, late 85, 86. And because I remember I was actually working there in sales by that time. My foot in the door job in the radio business.
That's how we met.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, we were all jumping up and down because we got Michael Knight to do mornings, which was kind of sad because it didn't leave Damien in a good spot. And Damien really wasn't a morning guy. He was a little too mellow for the mornings. And he certainly was different than Alex.
Yeah. What happened to him?
Yeah. And, but a really nice guy. I mean, I don't know whatever happened to him, but it was, Damien and, was it Damien and Dave McQueen doing mornings? And then Rogelski, I think Rogelski was there was somebody else that they kept from the Quake. And I can't remember off the top of my head who. It wasn't somebody that lasted that long, but I think they kept 2 or 3 people from the Quake. And I think Rogelski did afternoon news. They actually had morning and afternoon news people.
Well, in those days, that you had a different type of news that went with a different type of format.
Right. And Rogelski, who's still with Tom and Kate up in
Encino.
Bragg, was he was the part of the Alex and it was Alex and Joe, but they wanted to bring in McQueen for some reason, I forget. So they moved Rogelski, I guess, down to afternoons. And I think Rogelski and Alex had like pretty hefty contracts. I
hope they had to pay Alex for not working.
Yeah, and I remember they had to pay Alex because our sales manager used to complain about that constantly.
We're paying him, he doesn't work here. Yeah, he's got a contract, which we assumed. About
having the nut for Alex that they had to, crunch every month before they could,
Showbiz, sorry.
Yeah, well, welcome. You signed, and it was sucked for them because they didn't even sign the contract.
The Giants just had to pay a pitcher $1.7 million who pitches for the Dodgers. It was his payday for the guy that threw the no-hitter for the Giants and just pitched in the World Series.
That always hurts, man. When you got to pay it to you, it's like the Bobby Bonilla million that goes out, million and change that goes out every, what is it, June 3rd or something like that.
Bobby Bonilla Day comes right off the top. Pretty soon they'll be paying real money.
Yeah, really. Let's see. So the Giants added Sam Hentges to the Giants bullpen today.
He joins the
29
team on the
years
injured
old.
list.
4.18 ERA, was on the spent the entire 2025 season on the what do they call it now? It's not the disabled list
The
anymore.
traffic commanders. The traffic.
Yeah. And left shoulder surgery and right knee surgery.
Well, the knee hurt because he was compensating for the shoulder.
Anyway, it was non-tendered by the Guardians on November 21st. And I guess somebody in the Giants front office
Knew of him.
And signed him. They got rid of a lefty reliever, Joey Lucchese.
What are you going to do? Now, if you were just picking ball players by their names, you keep Lucchese and get rid of the other guy.
Yeah.
Well, I wish him well. We're going to need him.
The options in the Giants bullpens now are Eric Miller, Matt Gage, Reaver San Martin as the lefties in that bullpen. Winter meetings, I think, start today, right? So they'll be.
Are they mandatory? Do you have to go and take a meeting?
You got to go. I love the winter meetings. Have you ever been to a winter meetings?
No.
Oh, I've been.
I'm busy with Christmas.
Yeah, I went 3 years in a row.
How do you feel about it?
It was quite an interesting thing. It's great if you want to interview other members of the media because the hotel lobby is a trip. All of the media people hang out in the hotel lobby.
Trying to break a story.
Right. And then general managers will walk through.
Could not stop.
Or owners or, people who want to get noticed. And then there's always the 3 or 4 baseball players who can't catch on with any club.
Because they had surgery on their shoulder and their knee.
Right. And they're down in the lobby and they're doing interviews with anybody who'll talk to them because they're trying to get their name in the paper to show that they're, or now on, the internet, to show that they're available. And so, and the club people are up in a suite. Every room in the upper floors is all taken up by
talking to executives who wouldn't come to the winter meetings. They're home.
Right. And their people are going back and forth in the hallways up there trying to get deals done. It's not as exciting now as it used to be because now you got the internet, you have Zoom and that stuff. So, and every once in a while you'll catch an executive and you got to know the guy or you have to. 1 year when I was there, I think it was 98, we were down in what's the
Fort Myers?
No, down in
Glendale,
Southern California, north of San Diego.
Escondido,
the fancy ass hotel that's there. Not Seal Beach, but not Moss Beach.
Newport Beach.
No, south of that.
Laguna Beach.
Dana Point.
Okay.
Dana Point. And there's a Ritz-Carlton in the Dana Point. And that was definitely the nicest place we'd stay because at least the bar in the hotel lobby looked out on the ocean. So you got,
something.
But that was the year that Griffey had requested a trade. And so everybody felt pretty positive that the trade was going to happen at the winter meetings.
Was it going to be Cincy?
No, I think it was originally going to be the Mets. I think the Mets were in on it. And then, for whatever reason, Griffey said, well, I won't accept, because he had a no trade. And he said, there's only a couple of teams that I'll accept a trade to. And so he wound up going to Cincinnati.
Was that a good deal for him?
No, it didn't work out for him.
Didn't seem to work out at all.
Yeah, and I don't think it really worked out for the Mariners all that well either. I mean, what'd they get? They got Brett Tomko. I'm trying to think of who else came over from Cincinnati, but the
Biff Jiggerman.
gist of the thing was that it really didn't work out for both sides. And Griffey, and a lot of people think his dad had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Just tied the Mariners' hands with where he could go, and then the Reds knew that the only place he really was going to go was to the Reds.
It didn't work out for them either.
They weren't going to give anything really important up for Junior.
Cash.
So they just. I'm trying to remember the players that were given up, but it wasn't. I don't remember it being a treasure trove of players. And
it was not a memorable. It was over, but it wasn't beautiful. It was not a beautiful ending.
Well, no, and a lot of people, forget that. A lot of
now
people,
he plays the organ during the commercial that he's in.
Yeah. And I think he's part owner of the Mariners. I think he's
got a piece.
I think he's a part owner. No, I want the Griffey trade. Jesus Christmas. Oh yeah, I know. It was Mike Cameron was the other other nice piece that came in. Actually, I mean, I'll never say that Cameron was as good as Griffey because he's not. But he brought, Griffey didn't want to be there anymore for whatever reason.
Cameron did.
And Cameron took the whole thing.
He took the Seattle Challenge. I like this town.
And ran with it and became a fan favorite. He people were really down. What was that? The 2000 season, I guess. Because they made the trade February of 2000. They consummated the trade.
And as it turned out, it wasn't a bad idea at the time when the time had come.
Yeah, and Tomko served the Mariners well for the couple of years that he was there. And Cameron, I mean, you could make a case that Cameron belongs in the Mariners Hall of Fame.
He was a fan favorite.
He's a fan favorite. He was a big part of that 2001 season. And early in the season at home, I forget who they were playing, but Cameron made a spectacular catch in center field. Just one of those Spider-Man catches. You go up and it looked like no way you're going to get the ball, and you just get enough height. And not long after that, if I remember this right, he also got the winning, hit the winning run, drove in the winning run in a 19-inning game. And between the two, he really solidified his standing among the fans. He became the new fans' darling. And
the image had been burnished.
Well, yeah, and many people, some of the writers were, writing that here's the perfect guy. The trade looks great because here's the guy that's going to make you forget about Griffey. And I don't think you were going to make people forget about Griffey. But for that particular year, and 2001 always gets the press and everything, but 2000 was a spectacular year for the Mariners. I mean, Lou did his best job of managing. The pitching staff was unreal. Alex was still there, and he was coming into his prime. Yeah, the whole, it was just all, you could see it coming together.
How many times do you think did you see Lou pick up second base, throw it into center field, and jam the hole full of dirt so it couldn't put it back?
Yeah, one or two times. I don't. There's one time where there's a famous pitcher. I think he was throwing first base, where he was kicking up a storm in Buhner and Griffey. So that had to be before 2000. Buhner and Griffey are just standing there watching him, and they're laughing, and they're just kind of covering
Oh,
their
yeah,
face.
of course, because they knew it was coming.
Tears rolling down their cheeks that they're laughing so hard.
Standing together in the outfield, chuck.
Yeah, they're just standing together, and they actually weren't in the outfield. They had moved in.
Like didn't want to miss. They wanted to hear it too.
Well, I guess they wanted, in case he really got, animated, they were going to grab him. And there was very few people on the team that could grab Lou. And after the Reds incident, with what's his name there, you knew you had to be somebody of standing in the clubhouse if you were going to grab Lou. But you needed to have somebody there because, obviously Lou could get out of control pretty quickly.
There wasn't going to be a lot of notice. It was just going to happen.
Right. It was going to happen. You had to be fleet of feet to get to him before he knocked an umpire down.
Because he could get around that infield when he was angry.
When he was angry, you were looking at a 22-year-old Lou Piniella. There was no doubt that you were looking at a guy who had regained
little puffs of smoke.
Virility. Yeah, he just poof. He'd get out there and he'd get that, his hat would go backwards and he'd get that face on, and you could tell by that face, man, that he was in it.
He was back in the schoolyard in Tampa.
He knew that he wasn't going to win the argument, but he was going to get his nickel's worth.
Before he had a shower. Then he would have a shower.
Yeah. Then he'd go in the office, microwave 5 or 6 corn dogs, and smoke a pack of Luckies,
With the Rheingold to wash him down.
And hand the team over to Stan Williams. Just, here you go.
Where's Stan? He's in the head.
Well, yeah, get him out.
Get him out.
Or Johnny McLaren, I guess, was one of the guys he'd hand the team over to. Or, it was. I miss. I miss that whole scene. I know a lot of people used to not like it, and sometimes I think guys would do it for nothing, just to motivate their team. I don't think Lou ever ran out of the dugout for nothing, or to motivate his team, except one time that I know he did something to motivate his team.
He just wanted to stop action.
Yeah, you know how a manager will walk out and visit the mound. Well, I forget who it was that got on first, and Lou called time. He walked out to first base.
I want to talk with my runner.
He wants to talk to his runner, and he goes back in the dugout. It's like a visit to the pitcher's mound, only he's talking to the runner. And it's and everybody's looking at each other because, we've seen this before. And I think, if I remember right, that runner scored. And he said, he just asked him what I guess there was some stock that they owned in common together.
Is it up, down, or even?
Yeah, and he asked him like the stock price that day, if he had knew what the stock was at. So it was
just a little something to put a stop in the game, change the mood.
Just the greatest guy in the world to cover, man. My years covering the Mariners and the relationship that I formed with Lou, got lucky enough to form with Lou.
Well, there was a lot of New York in that boy, even though he was from Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Lou was he had the heart of a New Yorker.
And he had the stripes of a Yankee.
He had that heart of a New Yorker, and New York loved Lou. I remember I was lucky enough. We were in New York for the playoffs, and I was in standards. For some reason I was in the hotel lobby, and I see Lou come down. Hey, Lou, what's happening? Oh, nothing. I'm just gonna go pick up my dry cleaning. You want to take a walk? Yeah. So Lou and I are walking up 42nd Street because I think his dry cleaner, he knew the dry cleaner was on like 42nd and maybe the hotel is like on 42nd and Park and or 42nd and Lex. And I think the dry cleaner is like 43rd and 6th maybe, or yeah, it was 6th or in that block between 6th and 5th.
The Avenue of the Americas.
Or 41st, actually. And so we walked up 42nd and crossed and went up. And we must have been stopped 100 times.
Everybody knew him.
It's like everybody, people just knew it. I'm just walking with him. And it was just, I really wish I had my cell phone, had a cell phone with a camera. Because it really was one of the most amazing things that, to walk a few blocks with Lou was incredible.
I was given a napkin to Kristen.
It was just it was just an incredible thing. So,
You didn't make it.
So, you can't take the New York out of the boy. He knows how to walk. He's learned how to walk down the street when he was a Yankee.
Yeah.
And they saw him coming. He was standing out.
Yeah, you could. It was years since he had played there. He'd been a manager of the Reds, but people just knew him, and they just. I suppose they probably would have done that with most Yankees that they recognized. But Lou had something special.
He was like Donnie Baseball
about him.
Yeah,
and it was really neat to see. It was really neat to see somebody who had that kind of respect and aura about him.
Plus, he wasn't just a Yankee; he played like a Yankee.
Well, yeah. He just, they just knew, and his crap with Reggie Jackson. He was, he always, he was friends with Reggie, but in their playing days, he stood up to Reggie. He didn't take no shit from Reggie.
Or anybody else that we can name.
Yeah, no, because I remember another quick Lou story is I was sitting in the office. Most of the guys, the clubhouse opens and you go in and you talk to the manager. He does a little quick presser with people. It's the way it used to be. It's different now, I think. But the beat guys go in there, and I was in there, and who comes walking in but Reggie Jackson?
Lou.
But I don't even think the Yankees were in town, if I remember right. He might have just been in Seattle for something. And, and the reporters all kind of leave, and I'm getting up to go because that he wants to spend a few minutes with Reggie before the game. And Lou says, no, sit down. And so him and Reggie are having a conversation, and I'm not saying anything.
That's how rare the day was.
Yeah, I'm back sitting now on the couch and just not saying anything, man. There's nothing that I can say in this conversation that's going to add anything to it except, yeah, Lou.
But you are.
There's nothing.
Nah, sit down.
I'm just enjoying the moment, man. I'm sitting here thinking if I could just, if I were a Yankee fan, I'd be in heaven.
Did you roll tape?
No. You couldn't roll tape on that conversation. That was off limits. That was.
I agree.
You didn't. You could have rolled it, but you could have never used it.
Yeah.
And that would.
I did that once. I recorded Bill Graham when he was being very direct about taking acid with the Grateful Dead at the pyramid in Egypt. And I saved that tape. And the day and night that Bill Graham died in the helicopter crash, I searched my entire house for it. And Bill Graham came into my house. He took that tape and he left with him when he went to wherever he's booking acts now. I've never found that tape. And I saved that tape. I marked it. KRQR. We went to his office and recorded PSAs for the Labor Day weekend or something. He was going to put on a big show. That thing was, come to my show, don't drive drunk, you know.
Yeah.
But while the tape was running, he told the story about taking acid with the Grateful Dead at the pyramid. And it wasn't a salacious story. There was nothing weird about it, but it just cataloged how he felt about it, what it was like to get high, to come onto it, and sitting at the pyramid with the Grateful Dead in Egypt. And it was a fantastic story. And I wanted to use some of that sound on KCBS when he died. And I never found that damn tape. And I know that Bill Graham came and took it.
Yeah, that would have been a great. I mean, that would have wound up being a national.
That would have fed the network.
That would have been fed this. You would have fed that to CBS. I mean, that was something else. Yeah, I just. I mean, from early on, I understood that those kinds of things. There was a few people that had come and Lou had said, because he knew. He knew at my heart I was a fan, even though I was a Mets fan. And
he understood.
Well, I think in a way he respected that because he was a Yankee, I didn't kowtow to him and say, "Oh my God, I'm a Yankee." You know, I used to. He knew that I didn't like the Yankees. I was a Mets fan, and that was my team. And you know, great, you were a Yankee. I would have preferred it if you were a Met.
Well, who did he grow up watching? What was his team when he was a kid?
I think the Braves partially. Of course, they were in Atlanta. I mean, he grew up in Tampa Bay, so there was, and I think he also had a thing for the Yankees because they
trained.
They trained in Tampa. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was his, but I think his like kind of regular season team with the Braves. And
that's the story.
Yeah,
it's a good story to end with today, Vin. It's a good story.
Yeah, it's a fun story. I missed those days, and I'm blessed that I had them. You know, sometimes when I get down about, gee, I don't do this anymore, I don't do that anymore. I always think about those days and go, yeah, but I did stuff that
I did it.
You know. That people would have given their right arm to do.
So congratulations.
Oh yeah, it's a good antidepressant.
You got a better deal out of it than Damien got out of the city.
Yeah, that's for sure. Better deal out of it than I got out of the city. Except you know, me who'd have thunk that, you know, what is it?
Years later,
and we're sitting around here chatting about
98.9 is still cursed.
98.9, the city. All right, man. I'll see you on Friday if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
It's a freaky day. It'll be a fractious Friday. See you, man.
All right, Michael. Take care of yourself. Thank you all too, and peace, love, and Manischewitz, Mikey.
Manischewitz. We're talking about the wine. It's quite a wine. See you, Ben.
All right, Mikey. See you. Thank you all for listening too.